Most people look at a West End theater star and assume they are getting paid a standard, modest stage salary. But when it comes to the powerhouse vocal sensation, Lucy Thomas, the numbers floating around behind the scenes tell a completely different story. Ever since she stunned audiences on The Voice Kids at just 14 years old, a quiet financial empire has been building right under our noses. While traditional stage actors grind through years of low-paying ensemble work, this young performer managed to vault straight into headlining legendary London venues like the Royal Lane and the. But how much money is actually changing hands here? And how did she bypass the traditional gatekeepers to secure a fortune most seasoned actors will never see? To understand the true scale of her wealth, you have to look past the standard contract structures of British theatre. The base pay for a typical performer on a major London stage is strictly regulated by union guidelines, often leaving even main cast members scraping by in one of the most expensive cities in the world. But elite performers operating at this level do not play by the standard rules. When a production is built entirely around a singular talent, the negotiations move behind closed doors, shifting from weekly wages to lucrative profit-sharing models, merchandise cuts, and high-value performance premiums. When you add up the staggering production costs of these major showcases, it becomes clear that the financial backing involved is operating in a completely different league. But that wasn't the whole story. The real secret to this massive financial engine comes down to an incredibly tight-knit independent network that operates outside the typical studio system. Instead of waiting for traditional casting directors to hand her a lifeline, Lucy was signed to Cavendish Records almost immediately after her television debut. This allowed her to partner directly with major industry players like composer and producer Chris Broom, building projects from the ground up rather than auditioning for existing ones. By locking down the lead role in highly anticipated historical dramas and showcase productions like a new musical, she didn't just get a job, she secured a massive stake in a brand new intellectual property. This direct control means she avoids the standard predatory agency cuts that drain the bank accounts of most rising stars, keeping the lion's share of the profits for her own camp. And what happened next would surprise everyone. But the stage performances are only the tip of the iceberg, serving as a massive commercial for an even bigger cash cow. With over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and a staggering 2 billion views across social media platforms, her digital footprint functions as a highly profitable streaming machine. Every time she steps under the West End lights to perform, millions of fans worldwide rush to and Apple Music to stream her studio albums. While a normal actor stops earning the second the curtain drops, her digital catalog is generating continuous passive revenue 24 hours a day, turning every single live performance into a global marketing campaign. The sheer volume of digital traffic means that even if she never stepped onto a physical stage again, her online presence would continue to generate wealth at a rate that eclipses standard theatrical contracts. Yet, the layers of this financial puzzle run much deeper. This brings us to the unique economics of the high-profile, one-night gala events that have come to define her recent career. Selling out iconic venues for a limited run allows a production to command premium ticket prices, with dedicated fans flying in from America, Japan, and Australia just to catch a single performance. By capturing this intense, concentrated demand, these events generate massive upfront capital through ticket sales and exclusive merchandise. Furthermore, by broadcasting these shows via global platforms, the audience expands far beyond the physical capacity of the theater, generating thousands of additional ticket sales worldwide in a single evening. It turns a single night of work into a massive, multi-tiered payout that rivals the earnings of a standard 6-month theatrical run. But this rapid rise to dominance did not come without its fair share of friction. Predictably, this unconventional path to the top has sparked intense speculation and quiet resentment within the deeply protective London theatre community. Rumors have circulated for months about frustration brewing among traditional stage actors who spent decades paying their dues, only to see massive lead roles handed to a young star carrying immense social media leverage. Whispers of industry gatekeeping and pushback from purists have shadowed her rise, with critics questioning whether digital popularity should outweigh traditional theatrical training. The establishment has long guarded the gates of the West End, demanding that performers climb the ranks through grueling ensemble work and minor roles before ever earning the right to lead a show. Yet the sheer profitability of her projects has made it impossible for the establishment to ignore her, proving that box office draw ultimately outvotes industry politics. However, her influence was never meant to be contained within the UK borders. Beyond the borders of London, her financial reach extends heavily into international markets. Unlike standard West End actors whose earnings are tethered to a specific physical theatre seat in England, her global streaming presence has unlocked incredibly lucrative live concert opportunities overseas. Selling out major solo showcase dates in countries like France and Switzerland allows her to command top-tier international performance fees that operate completely outside the restrictions of British theatre unions. These international tours turn her from a local stage actress into a highly profitable global export, bringing in massive injections of foreign revenue that completely warp standard industry net worth calculations. The ability to draw international crowds means her earning potential is across multiple currencies and territories, protecting her from the economic shifts of the local UK market. But streaming numbers and international ticket sales still only tell part of the tale. An often overlooked aspect of this financial juggernaut is the sheer volume of physical media she continues to move. While the rest of the music industry has almost completely abandoned physical formats in favor of digital fractions of a cent, Lucy's dedicated purchases physical CDs and vinyl records in massive quantities directly from her label. This direct-to-consumer pipeline means the profit margins on her 5 studio albums are exceptionally high, bypassing major corporate distributors who usually take the lion's share of an artist's hard work. By retaining the primary rights to her masters and her physical distribution, the revenue generated from a single album release rivals what major label artists pull in from massive multi-city stadium tour. It is in modern niche marketing, combining old-school fan loyalty with digital-age distribution efficiency to maximize every single dollar spent by her audience. When you piece together all these moving parts, the true scale of her net worth becomes undeniable. Combining the steady intake from 5 highly successful studio albums, global streaming royalties, international concert dates, physical media dominance, and high-paying West End contracts, experts place her financial standing far above the average performer. Rather than relying on a single paycheck from a theater producer, she has built a self-sustaining ecosystem that guarantees massive financial stability while keeping her completely independent. She has effectively weaponized the modern digital landscape to fund a classical theatrical career, creating a blueprint that completely bypasses the traditional financial struggles associated with the performing arts. What makes this financial structure truly fascinating is how it insulates her from the typical volatility of show business. In the traditional theater world, an actor's income is entirely dependent on their next audition, leaving them vulnerable to injuries, show cancellations, or the shifting whims of casting directors. By building an independent empire centered around her personal brand and digital catalog, Lucy has created a safety net that operates entirely on her own terms. The revenue generated by her millions of monthly listeners ensures that every theatrical project she takes on is a choice, not a financial necessity, giving her unprecedented leverage in negotiation rooms where producers are used to holding all the power. Ultimately, the story of this rapid ascent completely changes the blueprint for modern entertainment success. It proves that the old ways of breaking into show business are quickly dissolving, replaced by an era where digital leverage controls the stage. The massive figures behind her career show that the most lucrative way to conquer the West End isn't to climb the traditional ladder, but to build your own empire before you ever step into the spotlight. It leaves us to wonder whether the traditional theater system can even survive in its current form, or if the future belongs entirely to those who own the audience before they ever buy the script. As the curtain falls on the old ways of doing business, one thing is certain: the financial landscape of musical theater will never be the same again.